So while Mr. Kelly's coming down, he's going to talk a little bit about the HVAC system and some of the issues that we're having. But I wanted to share with you, when you think about the two straightaways that we just came down, when we're leaving the west, we're coming into the center, and then coming straight down through the center, and you can say the same thing when we go into the east. When you look at the width of the hallway, and you look at potentially 2,200 students in the hallway all at one time, there's pinch points, there's kids running into one another, and then I just want you to, and again, this is not a decision that has been made, but I want you to just at least give consideration to what would a multi-story building look like in terms of at the high school level, and then how can we think differently about the space when students are traveling from class to class, right? And when we're in an 800 square foot classroom or a 900 square foot classroom, and then this ability to do direct instruction and then go do collaborative work in some other location. If it's not in the classroom, maybe it's in a spot outside the classroom where the teacher can still do their thing and the teacher can still supervise. But again, we have space for kids to get from point A to point B, and we're kind of utilizing more than one story to kind of do that. So just a vision for what it would potentially look like, right? I asked Mr. Kelly to be able to explain what this is because I'm not an HVAC guy. So go ahead, Bob.
Did we talk about the floors at all yet?
No. We haven't talked about the floors.
If you take notice of the floors, especially if you look down, some of you will see some cracking going on underneath. The whole center, which applies to the band room also, the floor is cracking, the floor is moving. Don't know what's going on underneath. Don't know if that's from the original build and the foundation is I don't know. But tile that we put down doesn't last because it ends up cracking, splitting, then we have a problem, we have a trip hazard. When you walk underneath this area here, you will see 3-inch pipes. They're heating pipes, they're supply and return, and they're coming from the east house. And you will see at every bend and every 10 foot where they join black pipe together, they use these metal clamps that have a rubber seal in them. They're called phthalic fittings. 40 years old. Those seals and those fittings are starting to fail. What's the problem with that? Just fix them. Well, here's what happens. When you get one or two of them leaking in an area, I have to drain the HVAC. I got a big valve here that separates the center house. They didn't put extra valves in to separate sections. I have to drain this whole building to repair a phthalic fitting, which can't be done in a day. Can't be done in 2 days. Usually it takes a solid day just to drain it, and I have to find containers to drain them in. Then I get a company in to replace these phthalic fittings, and then we got to fill the system again. And then we have to get the air out of the system to get the whole thing working again. This whole process takes at least 4 or 5 days. We can't do this while school's in. So when we have a leak that appears, I gotta wait for, well, this one's gonna be repaired Christmas break. Or I wait till the summer. Otherwise, we deal with these leaks. And these leaks pop up more often now as it gets older. They're 42 years old. Seals don't last that long. In the East House, they're welded. For some reason, in the 80s, when this was built, they used these doggone phthalic fittings. I hate it.
It's a technical term, doggone.
Doggone.
Brand name, right?
So that explains what's going on here. We have leaks here. There's 2 or 3 more leaks throughout the house that are getting repaired over Christmas break. Probably by next spring or next summer, we'll have 4 or 5 more. There's hundreds of these things.
Question.
In the new construction,
Yes.
what would they do so the floor doesn't do that? Like, what's new technology?
Well,
because
we
this is
hope.
old.
What I don't know happened back then is when you do a foundation, when you level the area, they do soil testing to make sure that the soil is sound underneath. I don't know if that happened back then. I wasn't here.
So modern technology and tools allow to reduce those kind of things
Yes.
that happen.
Also, now the standard too, we do have outside companies that are hired to come in and do construction testing of the soils, of the concrete, of the structure. So that wasn't like criteria or protocol back when these, right, so now we
Middle
have
school
that
was.
back then.
All right,
Well, that was done.
as we head into what is the east house, which is the oldest part of the building, there are a couple pinch points. For those of you that went to school here, this is a congested area that happens every time there's a class change, as well as when we came from the choir to the band room. So what we're going to do is we're going to come through here. You're going to take a left. You can kind of look into some of the classrooms. These happen to be science rooms right here, where you'll see some of those issues that we talked about, equity, the resources, but in many of these spaces, the water, the gas, certain things don't work.